Hello, my name is Janice B. Gordon, and this is Scale Your Sales Podcast. Welcome to Scale Your Sales Podcast, listed number 9 of 43 best podcasts for every sales professional. I am Janice B. Gordon, the customer growth expert, awarded the RevTech Strategist of 2024. In today's episode of Scale Your Sales Podcast, I'm talking to an expert, a social media expert, that is talking about how B2B businesses can grow their awareness on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. She looks at all the social media platforms, so we touch on all of them, but incredible strategies of what you need to do, not only to build your brand, where you need your personal brand, where you need to be and how to do that. We had a discussion about the relevance of TikTok for B2B and businesses, and also what you can do and some tips about what you should be doing on TikTok and why it is relevant now to actually start building your footprints on this platform. So you're going to love the discussion. My next guest is a social media trainer, mentor, and digital marketing specialist and owner of Fresh Approach Digital. So please welcome to Scale Your Sales Podcast, Emma York.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's lovely to have you here. Let me just explain to listeners how I met you. This is through Digital Boost, where you can get information and one-to-one. So I asked Emma to coach me because although I was on TikTok, it's kind of like, when you start with something, you think, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. I'm not sure if it's most right. I'm not sure if my strategy, all of that. She was absolutely brilliant. And based on the conversation we had, I really wanted her to join the podcast to really share the ample knowledge that she has on social media generally. She helps businesses with their social media, but particularly I see her a lot on Instagram and TikTok. So, that's going to be the focus of our discussion. And certainly, in the B2B sales world, digital sales is no longer separate. It's actually just sales because so much is happening digitally. And also with the growth of CROs, you've got sales and you've got marketing that are one unit, as it should be. So both areas, sales and marketing, having to navigate what is digital, and social media is such a key part of the way you communicate with customers. And that's why I think it's so important for businesses and individuals in businesses building their brand need to understand what they can and what they should be doing with social media. So that's by way of an introduction. So I don't know what your view is, Emma. Now, I think that TikTok is perhaps, I don't know, 5 years behind where Instagram used to be when that was first introduced. And the demographic that's on there now that are the influencers of the future. So I'm thinking B2B sales, because they might think, well, why on earth do we need to be on here? And, actually, I know with, Gary Vaynerchuk, and when they always say, get in early, make all your mistakes, start to build your brand. So when everyone else jumps in, all of your customers are there, you're already there. So what's your thoughts on some of those statements that I've made?
Really interesting. And I would happen to agree with you if we go back and put the word B2B in front of when you said that TikTok is behind, because you're absolutely right. TikTok is a phenomenal platform for many reasons. But if we're going to drill into B2B, it's not there yet. The people that are consuming in masses and hours of content, they're not there yet. They're not going there for the B2B content yet. That's what they're not there for. Now, there are an enormous amount of creators putting out B2B content, potentially not in the way that is going to get them the engagement they want. And Gary's statement again, he says some very controversial things, but he's kind of right. If you're doing everything in a way that is engaging, fun, and entertaining, no matter what your sector is, no matter the platform, you're going to get there, especially with B2B sales. People think you have to be on Twitter, or LinkedIn to talk about B2B. but you don't. You can be everywhere. And there is a place for that on TikTok. It's about how you do it, I
All
believe.
right. Okay. So it's about how you do it. So delve into that a little bit more, because people may be on it because they want to register their name and they're not really engaging. And like me, it's like, I'm not sure if I'm engaging in the right way. So how to do it? Just give us an overview for someone that's well, we're all relatively new to TikTok. It hasn't been around that long. Like, what does that mean?
It's about, and everyone will have heard this a lot, it's about storytelling. So while you can, let's go back to the example of Instagram versus LinkedIn. So you can post your breakfast, you can talk about your train commute, you can pretty much post, behind the scenes and everything in the day of the life of, and that is the kind of content that does really well. And it tells your story as a business owner or a creator or as an employee. And that's really great on Instagram. And there's a long history of that working really well for people. That doesn't work on LinkedIn. They don't want a picture of your breakfast. They don't want to see a reel of you on the train, but they want to know about the event you went to and the podcast that you were talking to and the connections that you've made. So it's about the end result being the same. You want to talk to people about your story. You want to tell your story, but you have to then adapt that for the different platform that you're on. And TikTok is exactly the same. Whether you're B2B or B2C, whether you're an employee or an employer, you can still tell your story. And I personally feel that there are so many more ways that you can do that on TikTok. Very much how you've successfully done it, Janice, and you post snippets and really great highlights, and you push your podcast. You then also show people behind the scenes or where you're traveling. You are telling the story of the podcast founder, the business, how passionate you are about sales. And I just feel that TikTok allows people to really tell that story.
It's interesting. It sounds like TikTok is the kind of 360, the whole person, the kind of well-rounded, whereas actually LinkedIn, I think people do start to complain that it's getting too personal now. And I think it's really challenging, because post-pandemic, so much has changed and so much is personal. Business is so much more personal, and it's getting the balance right, whereas in TikTok, just as long as the perhaps the way you do it, the way you tell the story, you can more or less talk about everything, the whole of you.
You absolutely can. And for so many people like you and I, and especially me, we're content creators, we're on our own. I could be working at home all day, all week, and not see anybody or not speak to anybody. God help me. But it allows me to then, be in my garden and create content, or clean the kitchen, but still talk about social media. And it just allows me to show every part of being a content creator, a sole business owner, to then hopefully inspire others that they're not actually alone, whereas they could be at home all day not speaking to anybody. But there is so much more to being a business owner than going into an office and sitting in front of my computer.
And it's interesting you talk about the life of the business owner, and that resonates with me. I was thinking about, I need to get the garden chairs out, because we may only get this bit of sun, and that may be it. So I need to take advantage and have my lunches out there. But people in business, B2B, corporate businesses, they're living our lifestyle. They're working from home. They're having to negotiate the same thing. So there is kind of a coming together on what business looks like for the kind of corporate person that would normally every day be on the commute going into the office, to sole traders or solo entrepreneurs like ourselves. I mean, we work with other associates, but we don't necessarily have a massive a payroll, really. So we might have huge responsibilities in the contracts and our supply contracts that we have with companies. But actually, when you kind of look at our business, it's relatively simple. Thankfully, I've had bigger businesses where it's 20 employees pulling you all over, and I made a decision I didn't want to have that anymore. So I'm really kind of loving my lifestyle. But it's interesting, for corporations, they're very similar, aren't they now? Because so many people are hybrid working and working from home.
Yeah, exactly that. And I am seeing actually a lot of B2B businesses and creators using all of the channels to get that across in very, very creative ways. I speak to so many people through my Digital Boost mentoring and the events where I am a speaker, and people say, oh, you can't go on TikTok and talk about insurance or construction, or yes, you can. Yes, you can. And there's that very funny Ricky Gervais sketch, if you like him as a comedian, where people say to him, you can't say that. You can. I did. So there are an enormous amount of ways to tell a story, to show your background, to highlight working from home and all the different things that you can do that can actually benefit a company. I think now there's that, I don't know whether you feel the same, Janice, but I think that whole COVID as an employer, I let them work at home, they're not going to do anything, they're going to sit in the garden. I think that mentality has shifted. And in the main, I hope it has. I know there's still a lot of industries or sectors where people physically cannot work from home. You can't drive a truck or a bus from home. There are jobs where it won't work, but I think there is a shift, the whole mentality. And I think social media can be good for that.
And well, the science has caught up to actually tell employers that people, when they're working from home, they work longer hours and they work a lot harder and they're very much more productive. So hopefully that's overcome it. But, you know, employers do have the heavy burden of bricks and mortar, and they want to fill them. So there are a lot of companies that are beginning to shift the other way and say, look, you've got to be in the office, you know, 3-4 days a week. And then people are now thinking, well, I don't want to work for that kind of employer. And so, yeah, there's all of that going on. So there is a coming together from corporates to individuals to business owners in the way we're working because of hybrid. So how can people use the social media platforms in order to build their brand that they need to do, with or without the company's not authorization, because it's your brand, but, you know, without the support of, with or without the company's support? How would they start to go about this? Because it's really important that you do. This is how you're going to get the next job, the next promotion, by actually having a network and a following. As they say, your network is it's your net worth. Your net worth is your network now. So how do people start doing that? Because it is going to be the Instagram and the TikToks that they're probably going to do that on, more so to a certain extent than LinkedIn.
Yeah, I would agree with that to a certain degree. I guess it depends on also if someone is actively looking for that next step or wants to level up where they already are, or they want to get started. I think LinkedIn is a phenomenal place for that job searching, career CV type. I think it is a fabulous place for that. And for someone who wants to look to expand their network and their community within the job that they're already in or the sector they want to stay in, let's say construction or marine or finances, I think LinkedIn is a great place for that. And they're also adding even more features. So, you know, you can add videos. There are loads of ways, but to really elevate your personal brand, you've got the short, sharp, having an opinion, getting your say, really engaging with a lot of people. X stroke Twitter is still a place for that. If you don't want to be out taking pictures, or you don't want to have your face shown, or you want to respect where you're already working, but you still want to have a say. So again, LinkedIn, text, and X, Twitter is fantastic for that. But then really showing what you do, how, let's say you do work from home and you want to prove how productive and engaged you are at work, you know, all the behind the scenes and stuff from people. And yes, Instagram and TikTok is perfect for that. So while social overwhelm is absolutely a real thing, and people will think, I don't have the time or the energy or the will to be on them all, you absolutely don't have to. And some people will gravitate more to one channel than another. But to really get your brand out there, you could have a piece in everywhere. So it is about understanding what it is that you want to get out of it. Are you wanting to build a community? Are you wanting to spread awareness because you're looking for another job? So it's about understanding your end goal. It's about telling your story as a human, a transparent human. You don't have to be anyone different. I did get asked this once when I came off stage, and someone said to me, are you like that all the time, or is this just who you are as a speaker? I was like, no, sorry, that's how I am all the time. All the time, I'm sorry. So just, you know, be really you, be honest, be transparent, and you know, tell your story. And then it's about, my very favorite word in social media is test everything. Test videos in LinkedIn, test a really B2B corporate message on TikTok, test lots of different threads and engagement on X and Twitter, and see what works. The audience, your engagement, will then tell you the results of that test, and then you can work out what is best for you, and then you can then dive into that more. So they are kind of my top things that I would do.
So let's just delve into what you mean by test. I mean, I know what you mean, but just, you know, kind of tell the audience what does that mean? Because people might be thinking, oh, I'm going to have to do all these A/B things, but actually it's simpler than that, isn't it?
It really is, Janice, and that's absolutely right. Way back when everyone was talking about A/B testing, all it means is having an idea and testing two different types of it, or having a thing that you really like. So you've made a talking head piece of video, or you've made a carousel of like your 3 top tips, or a recipe, or quite literally anything. A test then is when you try it against something else. So a lot of people have already got social media content like yourself. So you've got a lot of content on your TikTok page. So a test for you, when we talked about in your mentoring session, is about testing different types of caption and your call to action. So it isn't always about going away and making a lot more content. It's about repurposing what you've already got and trying something else that's there in itself is a test. So, I have a checklist that I give out to people for free of things. There are loads of things that you can test. It's either the creative itself, so the video, the picture, the carousel, whatever. You could change up colors and words and test it against itself on different channels, see what people like. You can test a length of a caption, so literally a sentence with a question, and just leave it, see what comes back. Or, as you're seeing a lot more on LinkedIn now, lots and lots of text. So to hopefully engage people, test that, see if it works. Are people engaging with it? Is it a dust cloud? Is that not what people want? And when I say test, it's all very well in throwing all of this out into the digital world, but then it only becomes a test if you wait and be super patient and give it time. There's a lot more engagement rate. The length of engagement life on social media on all the channels is longer now than it used to be. You'll always see a spike in 24 hours, but then you'll see engagement again 2 days later, 5 days later. So you've got to be really patient, and you wait a month, and then you look at the analytics, and then that becomes your test. And you can say, right, this thing worked on TikTok, this thing did not work on Twitter, and then you try something else.
Right. Yeah. So you've got to be pretty organized with content you put out, and be quite systematic with going back to, everyone has a slightly different style, and it's really about honing what yours is and what resonates with people. So that's why, I agree, kind of testing is really important. And certainly you've got me to look more at my analytics to actually go back and see, what people said when they commented, what were the comments, and the key thing, ask a question. So tell us about, what are the top 3 or 5 things on TikTok that are absolutely must do if you want to get a response?
It is about asking questions, and I said it to you, and I say it quite a lot. It's what is really obvious to us about our content, because we've made it. We have spent the time editing it, or putting it together, or talking, or switching around on the camera. It's really obvious to us what it is that we want to get out of it, but it's not always obvious to everybody else. So it's about either saying it into the camera, having it as text on the screen, putting it in the captions, and what is it that you want from people. Now, sometimes you don't always want something, but we're all in this market for a reason. So whether it is you want to drive people to your podcast to listen and subscribe, or you want people to sign up for your emails, or you want them to sign up with you and be a mentor. It's you're asking them for something. So that is one of my biggest things. So whether you do it in a caption, so you physically ask them a question, or as I said to you, a really good tip for TikTok is to post your TikTok, however long you want that to be, whatever you want the content to be, you decide on what your caption wants to be and post it. And then be the first person to comment on your post. So as soon as you posted it, then comment and then put your question in. So you get people to watch it. They've possibly read your caption. If not, doesn't matter. They've watched it and then they might go and look in the comments, because normally when people see a video and it's got comments, they'll go there because they're either looking for a bit of drama or they're looking to engage further. And you say to them, I've just been to Japan. Have you been? What's your favorite city? You and I have chatted in the comments on TikTok about being in Japan. So it's about just engaging with people that way. That is my one really big tip. And TikTok, just to really, people will say, oh, it's got to be 5 seconds, it's got to be hilarious, and it's got to be a dance. Oh God, it really doesn't. I have tried all of those things. I've tried lip syncing, I've tried dancing, and sometimes they absolutely work if you get it right. If it's relevant and you are funny and it's engaging, yes, you can absolutely, it does work. But it's about testing your content. We can now post up to 30-minute videos on TikTok. God help us. I won't be doing that. But you test longer ones. My longer videos where I'm educating people about social media and the latest tips. That is good content for me. My followers like that. I get comments. I ask them if they're going to use it. What would they like to hear about next? I'm always kind of asking a question. So it's about testing those short form, long form video content. You asked me for 5 things, crikey. I think I've covered.
No, it doesn't. I think you've given a lot. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, there's a lot of information there. And I was just thinking, like what we said at the beginning for kind of the B2B environment, and you said it's not quite there yet. So what would be the reason why they would start to dip the toe in the water now?
Brand awareness. So if a very well-established company, let's say they pave driveways, why on earth would they want to be on TikTok? But they want to expand their business. They possibly have branched out into a new area. They've brought in a new product and they've already got their established audiences on LinkedIn and Facebook, and they want to try something new to increase their reach and develop their brand awareness. TikTok would be a great place to do that. Now, to just post a video of possibly a before and after, they're always really great. Someone talking through the process, possibly making a fun one where you've got bits and pieces going on, lots of transitions. It would be a really great way of showing, highlighting a skill, raising the brand awareness with the company without directly saying, now go and buy your brand new driveway. That isn't going to happen on TikTok. It just isn't, because you can't buy it in the TikTok shop. So, but it is a great place for raising brand awareness, drawing in more engagement, driving people to a website. So I do believe there is a place for B2B on TikTok, but it is about working out what your end goal is, thinking about a story, like a bit of a script, possibly switching it up and trying new content.
Right. And with TikTok, you don't have to be, when we had X, it was all about, just putting lots of stuff. The timeline moved really quickly. You had to constantly feed this animal. So for someone, a business that's looking at brand awareness on TikTok, how do they have to do the same? Do they have to keep feeding the animal on, 5 times a day, or what? What would be your advice?
Yeah, Twitter was a very unique beast. It had an engagement window of 18 minutes. So you could post something and within 18 minutes, it's potentially gone. And someone else is talking about something else, and you could post every half an hour. And that was kind of the strategy for a lot of B2B, trying to constantly get your message to the top of the pile. It's a little bit different now, but still the same. The churn is absolutely massive. Now, and a phrase that a lot of social media marketers use, to be heard above the noise. You want to be posting, they would say you need to be posting more than others. I don't personally think that is the case. It's all about the algorithm now, and it's actually about the search engines, the search platforms becoming searchable. So it's about keywords. So if you're posting really, really good content with, it's all the E's, educational, entertaining, and emotional, and it's going to drive engagement, and you've got all the keywords in there, you could post 2 to 3 times a week and get more engagement, more of what you want, more conversion than someone who posts every day. It is really about getting that top tier content. And it isn't always about posting every single day, because if you get it right, you get all the, the little TikTok gold stars. It's going to throw you into the top level of the algorithm, and you're going to be pushed out to wherever you want to be. So it's about understanding, again, what it is that you want to achieve, and then coming backwards and just putting keywords, relevant keywords, in everything you do. You need to say them, you need to have them on the screen, you need to put them in your captions, you need to put them in the title screen. And then when people are searching, they will then find your content. And this is an absolute spoiler alert for you, Janice, but it's only just come out kind of now. People searching in Google, so they're searching for sales, business sales and things, they will now find your TikTok in Google search.
Oh, just like LinkedIn. Wow. Yeah.
Keywords are absolutely essential.
That's interesting. Okay, so what practical strategy would enable the buyers to buy on social media, particularly, we're talking about TikTok?
Yeah, so I mentioned storytelling, but it's also about active listening and communication. So it isn't about posting your thing and then just waiting and checking every 10 minutes to see how many views and comments you've got. It's about finding the people that you want to engage with your content, find out what they're looking at, other channels that they're following, people that you want to, like-minded partnerships, or people that you want to engage with. And it's about spending, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you to spend time in the app. I tell my husband it's called research, so I'm allowed to scroll. But it's about doing your research and the private stalking, and you look at other accounts and engage with them and comment on other people's stuff and share and repost and put it into your stories. It's about the active listening of what your customer wants, that will then help, every now and again will help drive them to your profile, and then you'll get the engagement where you want it.
Lovely, lovely. So Emma, if you were on a desert island, what would be the one thing you took with you?
Oh, this question is so hard. It's so hard. But, and I had to think about this when you asked me, I would take, and I don't even know if this is right, but there's no right answer, is there? So I would take not a piece of rope, but a reel of rope, because when I'm not talking about social media, I am sailing, I have a boat, I've sailed most of my life. So I know a lot of different knots. Ropes are amazing at being used for all manner of things. And I think I could possibly keep myself alive with a piece of rope. So
wow, we're giving you a reel of rope, because I'd like to see what you do with it and leave you on there. It'll be like Survivor.
Maybe that's a video. I need to go away and create.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can imagine you making a hammock and you can sleep in it. This is your fishing rope. You've got traps as well with the rope. I think that this is quite
a raft.
Compared to some of the answers that I get, which is they'd bring their mobile phone or whatever, or they get offers straight as well. You've really, I really like this idea. You're kind of like, as a sailor, I think you're very practical. I love it. I love it. I think it's excellent. So how can listeners get hold of you, even if it is to find out how many knots you really know?
That's quite true. I'm happy to have that conversation. Get in my DM.
I think it is a TikTok, Emma. I definitely think this is a TikTok.
I'm off now. As soon as we finish this, I'm off. I'm making a TikTok and I will tag you in it. But yes, if people would like to find me, even if it's not related content or anything about social media, or even if you want to talk about mentoring, I am mostly on Instagram. So I'm at Fresh Approach Digital, and exactly the same handle on TikTok. And when I'm not talking about social media, I'm pretty much drinking tea. That's my vibe.
And then off sailing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. I learned even more again second time round. So I really do appreciate you, Emma, and all of your knowledge. And I'll be tapping you up again. But listeners, please do connect with Emma with all of your questions. She's absolutely brilliant at asking you the right questions, zeroing in on what your need and you're trying to do, and then giving you strategies, setting you off on how to do this. So she's brilliant at brand building on social media. So thank you so much for being a guest of Scale Your Sales podcast, Emma York.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Scale Your Sales podcast. If you like this discussion, feel free to listen to other episodes or watch the captioned show on YouTube and subscribe to future episodes. I would really appreciate it if you would leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you.